How's it going, folks? This is Mike. I'm here to do a video response to one of my YouTube friends, a new YouTube friend, a guy named Greig Stott from Scotland. Hi, Greg, who has invited me to give a response to this question he asked, which is, why do we like movies? And that sounds like a very simple question, but in a way it's not, because there are so many reasons and so many different answers that people could give. And I've watched some of the other responses that people have given, and a lot of them are saying things that I would say as well, so I guess it'll be kind of repetitive. One of the best responses was another one of my YouTube friends, Kubrick Lover 1972, and I thought I would take an idea from something he said. He was talking about how much he likes documentary films, and I agree, I like them as well. And it made me think that one point I'd like to make about loving old movies is the fact that it gives me a chance to see the way things used to be, right? Movies that show the way the landscape used to be, the way cities and towns used to be, the way buildings used to look, the way people used to dress, the kind of cars they drove, and the way they lived. Seeing the insides of houses and the insides of restaurants and department stores, seem like little fine points of being in the story that a movie is telling. But that's one of the things that I really enjoy. Now, here's an example. This goes back a long way. This is a silent classic called A Fool There Was, which was released in the year 1915. It's actually filmed in 1914, released early in 1915. Made a star out of Theda Bara, who became one of the biggest stars of the silent era. Now, it's a cool little movie, but part of it takes place in New York City. And there's an extended scene where some people are driving these ancient cars down one of the big streets in New York City. And it's fascinating to not just to look at the cars and the clothes that look kind of silly now, but just to look at the buildings in New York City and to realize that 98% of those things don't exist anymore, and it's true of any film that you would see in any major city, either in the United States or anywhere in the world. You could look at films showing the skyline of London back in 1930 or 1950, and you see how different things were. You can look at the skyline of New York City in films made in the 1990s, and all of a sudden you'll see the Twin Towers, the World Trade Center, just as kind of an incidental thing as the camera pans past the city. And it's chilling to see the Twin Towers, knowing what happened many years later. So that's one of the things that I like. It's also cool for me, since I grew up in the 1950s and the 1960s, and it was a much different world here in Midwestern America. It used to be, in the old days, every small town, every smaller city, Chicago, certainly big cities like Chicago, Los Angeles, they've all changed, and everything's different now. Many things are different, but small town America as well. A lot of things are just disappearing. There used to be a time when every small town, every small city of maybe 5,000, 10,000 people had its own identity. It had its own kind of sense of place. Mom and pop stores and cafes and taverns, things like that. Everything was kind of unique. And now, because of the interstate highway system and Walmart, all of a sudden everything is just homogenized and everything is the same. And you go down the main street of small town America and everything's boarded up because everything's out by the interstate, or people get in their car and they drive to the nearest big city and they do all their shopping there. So it gives me a real sense of identification and a sense of personal comfort to be able to look at old movies and be able to see things that I can remember and that I can relate to. So that's one thing I like about old movies. Another thing I wanted to bring up, watching movies can help people feel like they're a part of something that they were not actually a part of. Perfect example is Woodstock, okay? The fantastically disastrous outdoor concert from the summer of 1969, which for me, I was living in flyover country, right, the Midwest, and Woodstock, the reality was over before I even knew it happened. It was just it was one weekend. it was a raining, muddy mess, and where people were breaking down the fences to get in. It was just this big mob scene of something like 450,000 people, jammed into one place and not being able to move. So the whole thing, the Woodstock, the reality, where they lost a big bunch of money, the people who promoted it, and thought, oh my God, thank God it's over. So that was in 1969, and by 1970, somebody put together this movie of all the reality camera clips that they had taken while it was going on, and the musical performances and interviewing people. So then in 1970, the rest of the world was given a chance to participate in Woodstock, the idea, Woodstock, the concept, okay? Woodstock Nation, yeah, that's what we were, all right, and we still are. But and it's wonderful, it still is. I can watch this anytime I want, and I just go right back to Woodstock. Not that that's probably a healthy way to look at life, but yeah, I spent a lot of time going back to Woodstock. So that's another good reason to like movies. And so that's just a couple of points I thought I would touch on. And yeah, I love collecting films. Back in my younger days, if we didn't see films at the theater or catch them on TV, then we just missed them. And it wasn't until, the 1980s that we all had a chance to start collecting things on videotape. Then it was DVDs, now it's Blu-ray. So yeah, we have great opportunities now to have huge collections. And I don't have my collection in this room you're looking at. It's upstairs in my TV room. So maybe I'll do some more videos up there and show people my collection. But yeah, that's a very important thing to me. I guess one of the reasons why I collect is because I like physical media. I like to watch things over and over and study them. And I also, for me, having a library of films is just like having a library of books. And I just, that's a very important thing to me. So, okay, now I'm babbling. So those are my responses. Those are my ideas responding to the question of why I like movies. So comments are welcome. Thanks again to Greg Stott for asking people to join in that question. Okay, see you later.